Hey guys, Brian here, and I want to do a special video today, and I want to talk about Rick Beato. Now, I can't speak for a lot of other musicians, but I personally feel I am indebted to Rick Beato. And first off, I want to thank him, and I'm going to explain why, and why I really think Guys, Brian here for Yes You Can Play Guitar, and we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of my YouTube channel. At that time, I met a very nice woman. I was single, I met a very nice woman, we started dating. We had a wonderful summer together, and I told her, I said, I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel. Normally when you mention YouTube to friends, family, whatever, you get these like really bizarre looks like, really? Dude, seriously? Like what? But she was like, okay, good. Good, yeah. And I said, I'm going to do this, and these are my ideas. And she said, that sounds great. Anything you need, let me know. At the Guitar Boutique in Bethany, Ontario. This is quite the store. Must be a good store for me to do a video on it. Just a short video. You guys got to check this place out. So anyway, the Guitar Boutique. Pretty amazing when I look back at it. I remember starting the channel, and it's very funny. I remember well, Jesus, if my playing doesn't suck, that was not the reaction we were looking for. When you start a channel, of course, you need to get subscribers, you need to get views, and I remember I often tell people with Facebook and friends and family, kind of keep your expectations very low, because as much as you might love them or that they are your friends, family, I just remember you're almost begging people in the beginning to subscribe to your channel. All along, I knew in the back of my head that I was going to work away at it, work hard on the channel, and it would slowly start to grow. Little did I know, I did not expect the channel to do as well as it did and to be where it is in 1 year. I'm very grateful, very thankful for that. If you guys check back at my old library, you'll see that I started out, I did a lot of videos on guitar tips, guitar lessons, more so aimed at beginners, some stories. I did a really interesting one about how an actual famous serial killer was at one of my gigs in March 2007. You should check it out. A couple of cool little different stories. When I was coming up as a teenager in Ottawa, Canada, Alanis Morissette lived in my neighborhood. Cool little story about that. But it was all a learning process. Anyone who gets into YouTube knows that, you know, it's a learning process. I'm still learning. I really liked Rick Beato's channel. You know, to be completely honest, I don't like everything Rick does on his channel, but he just has that love and passion of music, and he has a lot of experience. And I remember thinking, yeah, like, you know, I have that too, and I remember a famous YouTuber in this other industry who recently passed away, God bless his soul. He told me one day in person, he just said, you know, the biggest secret to YouTube is just be you. And that's great. And I'm still trying to find myself on my channel. I think we've come a long way. I think we're starting to get close. But I started doing, you know, some guitar lessons. So for beginners, there's some pretty good guitar lessons to go back and check out, keeping beginners in mind. Also, some stories, different tips or whatever. But then one day, I said, you know, I'm going to do something different today. I did a reaction video. I had heard a lot about this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guitar solo that Prince got up and did with George Harrison and Tom Petty. I said, okay, you know, I was aware of who Prince was, but I wasn't, you know, I was pretty ignorant to the big picture. Anyway, I did a reaction video, and at that time, people started commenting. I started getting views. Now, guys, reaction videos, especially if you're a musician, everybody's doing them. I've gotten some flack for doing them, even from some of my musician friends. You know, oh, it's an easy way. It's a cheap way to start getting views. It's a cheap way to start getting followers. I think what had happened was when I started doing my reaction videos, the people liked my take on things. I wasn't just average Joe, and there's nothing wrong with that. They liked the fact that I'm this musician with all these experiences, all these years of experience, all these technical knowledge. That I think people liked my take on videos when I would talk about them. And it started getting a following. It started growing. Very slowly, but it was growing. But reaction videos amongst the musician community do tend to get a bad rap. You know, I got a lot of flack for it, but I like doing them. It's part of what I do in this channel. I made it very clear for everybody. It's not all I'm going to be doing. There's a lot of other stuff I want to get to and a lot of other stuff I want to do, but it has become part of the channel. I enjoy doing them. I've learned a lot. In our journey, you know, Prince, I had an idea of who Prince was, but I had no idea. And I've learned a lot on that journey, and we're still going to keep that journey going. But I remember soon into, I started doing a few reaction videos, and this guy was commenting on my videos, and I'm like, but really good comments, and he was just very, very informative, right? When I knew someone a long time ago, a very educated man, he told me one day, he said, if the world knew when to be quiet, when they didn't know what they're talking about, the world would be a better place. But if you know what you're talking about, please put your hand up and speak. Anyway, this fellow was very, very informed and really impressed me a lot. And I'm going to say, guys, at this time in my life, I had a wonderful woman in my life. You know, I love my family, but I was very jaded and callous towards the world. I'm very careful when I talk about bad times in my life. I just don't bring them up. I had a number of years of a lot of, I just wasn't happy in my life. And I pretty much was on a crusade to figure out why that was. I had a couple of serious personal traumas happen. I had a few years of just not being myself, being very unhappy, trying to run away from my problems, and sometimes you trust the wrong people. And again, it's not that I'm claiming victim or anything. I own all my bad decisions. But coming out of that, I took time for myself, and just for a lot of reasons. You know, even dating someone who was really nice, who loved me unconditionally, there's still times where she's really nice to me and it's weird. I'm kind of like going, But I kind of, over the years, really learned. I would go back, think of relationships or friendships, and I can look back and say, wow, that person had hidden agendas, or they weren't really my friend. They wanted this, or they wanted to take advantage of that. And I just got to the point at the end of last year where I was just like done. I was like, I'm going to do my YouTube channel. I got my guitar teaching business. But then something really weird happened with YouTube. As I mentioned, I had this guy was commenting, and I really liked this guy. I liked his style. I liked his class. I liked the way he was commenting. We got talking, and his name was The Solitary Adventurer. And I think sometimes people get put into your lives for a reason. And, you know, with my channel, you know, eventually it grew, and then it got to the point I'm like, well, I should probably start a Patreon. You know, I've had some people come and go from Patreon or whatever, but there was a core of people that were really good people. And also, I remember one day I went to a really bad restaurant, and they put the machine in your face, and they had like a 30% tip option. I remember going, what? You know, and I remember leaving saying, everywhere I go, I get a debit machine shoved in my face with a tip option. I said, if people want the option to just, you know, maybe not be a Patreon, but just tip my channel, sure, why not? And I put the tip option up, and some people started donating. I couldn't believe it, because I had this mentality that everybody out there in the world is out for something. Everybody out there is, I was so cold and shut off to the world. And when I started having people donate, even if it was a small donation of a few dollars, it meant the world to me. I'm like, I don't know this person halfway around the world, and they think enough of me and my channel just to do that. It still gets me when I think about it. And every time I have a new Patreon or someone donates money, I just think, I'm like, I can't believe it. It's still, you know, I remember an instance late last year, an old friend of mine, we were kind of on the outs, and I had kind of tried to make some amends with him and say, hey, you know, I'd been going through a hard time for a few years. Then we got talking, but, you know, he wasn't overly responsive. And then one day out of the blue, he's messaging me saying, hey, yeah, we should meet for coffee and this and that. And I said, he's after something. And sure enough, I got a message with him asking for something. It's just, I don't know. It's just so weird for me that YouTube, of all things, started really showing me that there's really good people out there in the world. There's people that are good, that people have good hearts. They're genuine. They can see what you do or see what you're trying to do and say, hey, that's cool. I'm gonna be supportive. And it doesn't always revolve around giving money or donating money. It can just be, people in the comment section. One of my principles when I started was like, I'm going to answer every single comment. And that was very important to me. And I try to do it individually to each person and say, hey, so-and-so, I really appreciate you commenting. Hey, what part of the world are you from? And I remember as the channel was growing and growing, it became harder and harder to do that. I remember one morning spending about 3 hours, returning every comment. And my friend Mark from the UK, I've got a lot of good friends from the UK, he told me, he's like, dude, you're not going to be able to keep that up. And for the most part, not just on my comments, but on my emails, like I get way more correspondence. I got people emailing me from all over the world, sending me, reaction requests or just nice emails or how much my channel's affected them in a good way, and it means a lot to me. But when I got to that point where I couldn't answer every single comment anymore, it really bothered me, because that I felt was kind of the core of what got my channel going as well. The year has been an interesting one. I relocated in the beginning of the year. My new studio here, it's not quite ready. Won't be ready for a few more days, but I'm plugging away on it. So let's do a little tour here. This is going to be my video editing area. And then over here, we have, this is my recording setup. And just rearranging some things. Got a few racks of guitars there. This is going to be my YouTube filming area. Of course, lighting everywhere. But most of all, look at the view. Look at that. When I look out every day and I work, that's what I get to see. I put up my first cover song, which I did with, I did a cover of Aha's Take On Me, but I put more of a Brian spin on it with some pretty cool shred guitar at the end for the solo. But we've done a lot of reaction videos. We've done a lot of stuff on Patreon. I had a bad battle with pneumonia for 6 weeks. I didn't even know I was that sick. And then last week, I came down with COVID. Interestingly, I also knew with my channel, I wanted to get into doing interviews with big names in the music industry. And I had my first big name, Dave Ellefson, who was in Megadeth for decades. A band that I loved. And I really was selective with him because he was such a good speaker and very passionate about music. Some people, I'll see people that I've admired musically, but I know I'd never want to do an interview with them because they're not good talkers, and it's just not good for the audience, nor good for me trying to make that work. But so I'm being very selective on who I will interview. But I had COVID the day before, so I remember the day of, I had to get propped up, and I was on all this cold medication, cold and flu medication, just to try and be coherent. And then you can see when I do the intro bit, I'm talking, I'm playing. It's a little joke. I'm playing this funny thing, this lick for this famous Megadeth solo called Tornado of Souls, and there's a part in it with a big stretch. So there's a little bit of a humor there when I'm talking about. Anyway, you guys have to watch it, but you can just see how medicated I am. My face is flesh red, and I've got some yellow spots in my face. But that was a big milestone as well, hitting that interview, because that's also part of where I want to take the channel. I've met so many wonderful people, and I have to do a shout out to some people. I gotta do this. I have to first and foremost give a big shout out to my girlfriend. I'm almost 50, so the term girlfriend isn't, it's kind of silly, but my partner Jeanette, she has just been amazing from the get-go. She has loved me unconditionally, and she has just been completely supportive. This morning, she's learned on the side about YouTube as well. But when you get going on YouTube, you learn that lighting is half the battle. You need good content as well. And this morning, I'm sick with the vid, but I woke up to some awesome new lighting that I needed to kind of help this channel have the production better. And just, she never ceases to amaze me with her unending kindness, just love. And it's having been through what I've been through, we've touched a little bit on that. It's still a little weird sometimes to go like, this person loves me with no hidden agendas, unconditionally. It's a little weird. But I'm getting used to it, and I really appreciate it. I'm very thankful for it. I have to mention a number of people in passing. If I forget anyone, I'm very, very sorry. The Solitary Adventure. One of the first to really show me that there are generous people out there. He's been a Patreon, but he's also been like someone I'll confer with when I really trust someone else's opinion. That someone whose opinion I can really trust, that I can go to and say, hey, what do you think of this? He's guided me sometimes with my reaction videos or discussions. He's been selfless with his time. He really is a very well-researched fan of Prince. But it's funny because not only is our conversations, the Prince-related ones, great. A lot of them I've uploaded onto YouTube, but sometimes it's our other, whether we talk about politics or other aspects of music or YouTube or whatever, we just really fascinating conversation. There's so many people that I would love to give a shout out to. All my friends out there friends and family who actually do watch my videos on a regular basis. You guys know who you are. It's greatly appreciated. My Patreons, there's so many. Of course, we have the Solitary Adventurer, Wanda Manning, great friend, longtime subscriber, member of our community from Utica, New York. Wanda is, it's almost like we're not even friends anymore. It's kind of like we have our own little Patreon family. And wonderful woman. A man named Briggs, Tony, the communications, the conversations we've had, he actively takes part in our Patreon chats. I always love his perspective. That's really good too in life, when you can get other perspectives on things. When I get his perspective on different things, musical and entertainment, it's really interesting. My good friend Endless Rage, Mark Brandwood from England. Mark has been there pretty much almost since day one. You know, one of the things that happened, and he kind of told me, you know, it's going to happen, whether it's the comment section or sometimes just the flow of messages I get by email or Instagram. Sometimes it's hard to keep up. And but he's always been there. He's always kept in touch and given me. He's been a supporter, a friend. You know, we discuss different things. Mark, you rock. I just want you to know that I appreciate you. Edmund Soy, my man from Hong Kong. It's kind of interesting, not only with a lot of the patrons, we get discussing different things here, and sometimes we have all these other common interests that aren't just music. Like, I'm a big MMA fan, did a bit of it, training in my past. Ed's big on that. We get into some really interesting conversations, but Ed's been great. He's been around for a long time. My friend Keith. Keith's a friend. He's a Patreon. Again, he's checked in a lot on me while I've had COVID. While I've been down with the illness, down with the sickness, so to speak. But great guy and Patreon, and he's been a supporter of the channel, and Keith, you're greatly appreciated as well. My friend Ellie from France. Ellie has been a wonderful fit to our Patreon family because his perspectives, he's had some interesting interactions with Prince and his perspectives on and communications on music, and he's been involved in some great chats as well. Ellie, you're greatly appreciated as well. Other friends, we've got John Jeremita, great commenter on the channel. He's a Patreon. Skull Collector, he has a lot of different requests and different insights, more on the metal end of things, the newer metal, and he's had some suggestions with some bands that I didn't know who the heck they were, but I really enjoyed them, doing reaction requests. Lee Richardson, T-Bro J, my good friend Carrie Bevan from England. She filled me in on, you know, how things sound when women leave the pubs in Manchester and Birmingham. I think something like that. I see someone in the backyard. I don't know what's going on there. McBeardy Land, awesome. Another friend, Patreon supporter of the channel. Salome, Strawberry Mine, Green Eyed Girl Baby. You guys are amazing friends and support of the channel. Greatly appreciated. Eric Hufford, LaWanda Collins, Sherryland Bocek, Aaron Lintez, Jonas Amerlov, Ian Shagwin, John Bonus. Again, John always has great comments. Kat Whiten, Mike Machete. Mike Machete, my man. Really appreciate Mike. He has some great, always has great insights in our chats and on our posts. He's a very valued member of our Patreon community. Natalie Roselle, Kimmy B, Tracy Norman, my good friend from Oklahoma. Ed Johnston, always appreciate you, Ed, very much. Carrie Dickens, Lisa Jones, another wonderful longtime supporter of our channel. Always great talking with Lisa. Kicking the Science, CC Lavender, Marquise Morgan, Dwayne Choi, Joey, Jim Doddelin. Jim always has, we've had some great correspondence. He always has great suggestions. Dante Torres, Kicking the Science, Nigel Swan, Nellie Gillett, Gods and Me's, Grady Esked, Danny Wenzel, Johnny P, MHL, CH Chai Home 2013. There's been many others. All my wonderful friends from Indonesia, love you all. I greatly appreciate you guys joining me on my channel. RB, my good friend from Ontario, fellow Canadian. Robbie, I appreciate all the correspondence, all the emails. Sorry, I haven't been able to always get back to you on some of the emails you've sent me. Greatly appreciated. Chad Kaczynski, another guy, awesome friend I've met through the channel and on Patreon. You rock. I appreciate you and everything you've sent me and our correspondence so much. A lot of wonderful people in the comment section. And, you know, this year, again, the channel did much better than I expected. And this next year, we are going to make it bigger and better. And still, we're going to keep doing the reaction videos. We're going to get into some more music lessons, more stories, more interviews with big names in the music industry. I got my first big interview with David Ellefson done. And it seems to be doing well. We're starting to get views, and I was really happy with how it came out. So guys, again, I can't thank you enough. 1 full year on YouTube, and here's to another big year. Thank you. I love you all. I'm grateful to you all so much for everything. Remember, click subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. I'm using my Instagram more. I'm coming out of my shell again. I'm not that angry guy I was a year ago. A little less than a year ago. So follow me on @YesYouCanPlayGuitar and hit me up. I'll follow you back. Remember, practice hard but practice smart. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you soon. Stefan Morissette, did you think I would forget about you? You were always a great friend in the beginning and very supportive of my channel, giving me your feedback in the very beginning from when I had no subscribers. I thank you so much, and I love you for it, bud. You've always been a great friend. So many other wonderful people I want to give a shout out to. Eternal Kazim, Torian Hanley, my friend Margie from Australia, Bondi Beach, Pat the Cat. Let's see here, we got so many awesome people. Tony Delta Blues, Ray, Sue B, Greg Williams, Slylegs, James Friday. James, what day is it today? Love your post. My man Stephen Smith down at ESPN. I love your post, Stephen. Love it. Ollie Gaujon, Shea Boy, Scott Alker, Peter Williams. Pete, love your posts. Julian Sandefall, Mr. Paul, Devon Curry, Leonard Hall, Gubin Person, another one of my Swedish friends. Mia Franlin from Sweden. Robert C. Wilson. Tony. Troy Beard. Crazy Gemini. Kay Casper. Lavender B. Cinnamon Rolls Every Day. Ed Kaz. MD of KK. Eclipse. EJ. So many awesome people here. Mr. Paul.